5 p.m., bro. By 5 p.m., I'm in the tripod position, trying to breathe. And finally, I'm like, babe, we got to go to the ER.
You are still leaning very far forward on helping the team, helping the Brotherhood, doing things to take care of people, getting them plugged into resources, whether it's just fun events. Do you mind telling us a little bit about what you're doing outside of real estate to help people in the community?
Oh, dude, that's a great question, man. Thank you for bringing that up too. Yeah, so I'll tell you how I started too briefly. When I started my internship with Compass, which is my real estate brokerage, I was about 3 months into my internship and I had relocated from San Diego to Florida, and I was immersed in real estate, immersed in collaborating with realtors. And it was like I was building a new community, right, of realtors. But there was something missing, man. There was a sense of loneliness in the midst of all that, in the midst of going through my internship. And what I realized is I was missing that brotherhood, that level of camaraderie that we had when we were in the SEAL teams, when I was back in San Diego. So what I did, man, is I connected with team guys, with SEALs who were in Northeast Florida. And I only knew of one guy, right? I reached out to him. I said, hey, brother, let's connect. Let's go out for dinner. Let's bring the families together. And I got a chance to connect with my guy, Mark. And then while we were connecting, we were, breaking bread. I asked him, who do you know that's a SEAL? And he gave me 2 names. He gave me 2 names, 2 phone numbers. Literally the next day, man, I called both of those guys up. I called them up. I set up either coffee or lunch with them, connected with those guys. And then I asked them, who do you know that's a SEAL? I went from 4 SEALs in Northeast Florida. We are now 27 SEALs. So what I did, man, is I reached out to the SEAL Future Foundation and I asked them, I would like to build a FOB, forward operating base. That's what we call it. It's really just a network of SEALs here in St. Augustine. Bro, they was like all in, approved, get it done, keep the brotherhood alive. And because of that, man, I have that sense of community here in Northeast Florida now. But it really just took asking, who do you know that's a SEAL? Let me tell you, man, I've done a lot of meetups with these SEALs. I had one of the spouses during like the 2nd or 3rd meetup pull me aside, and she literally was like in tears, man. And she was telling me, she's like, thank you so much for starting this. I have not seen my husband this happy in a long time. He's like a young frogman. And our network of SEALs here in Northeast Florida, man, it's a combination of older SEALs, young SEALs, SEALs from different generation, man. But we all come together. We all learn from each other, man. We all have each other's backs. If we have a down man, we all respond and we all take care of him, bro. And, recently we had a down man, but we're taking good care of him.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just seeing you reach out, I went down there to visit a buddy who recently got diagnosed with cancer, and he was a medic with us. He was actually my roommate when I was going through the Fort Bragg Joint Special Operations Medical Course to become SOCMs. So he was my roommate back then. We were at Team 1 together, all 3 of us. And yeah, he recently got diagnosed with cancer. So went down there, saw him, saw the family, see what's going on. The very next day, Aaron gives me a call. Hey, what's going on? How can we support them? What can we do? What do they need? And he was just all over it like a freaking rabid spider monkey, just pouring into them, giving them phone calls, getting them resources, getting them plugged in. So I'm really grateful for you doing that. I'm really grateful for all the work that you're doing for them and so many others.
Let me add to that too, man. Helping one of our brothers, man, is obviously like when we have a down man, we're going to go all out. But connecting with the military spouses, with the spouses within our community, they are a powerhouse, man. And my wife got involved as well. Our boy who was diagnosed with cancer, we connected with his spouse and we just made sure you're not going to fight this alone. We're going to be here with you. We want to know, what are you struggling with, whether it's finances, whether it's cutting the lawn. We've got a network of SEALs, a network of community here where we can now help in whatever you need. So my wife went into action as well, man. She figured out what resources they needed, and all the military spouses got together here, man. And dude, they made it happen, man. So kudos to the military spouses as well.
Absolutely. That is fantastic. So that seems like a super big mission success. What else does mission success look like, a win look like for you in your life now?
I would say a win for me, man, is family. When you're able to be present with your wife, be present with your kids, be there in their lows, that's a win for me, man. Being able to build a community, I think that's another big thing for me, man. When I was in San Diego, I had all these excuses for not being able to get plugged in to the community. I don't have that excuse anymore, man. So I'm very well connected with the sheriffs here in St. Johns County, here in Northeast Florida. I'm very connected with all the first responders, connected with teachers, connected with the church. And I'm always trying to figure out ways, man, how can I be of use, man? Whether it's with my time, whether it's with my talents or treasure, right? How can I be of use? What could I do for folks that maybe need some assistance? So that's a win for me, man. Whenever you can help your local community, that's a huge win, man, because your community gets to know you, your family sees that, and you're able to bring more people to an organization, a nonprofit that maybe they haven't heard of, but needs resources, needs help. And yeah, that's a win for me, man.
That's great. I really love what you said. Time, talent, or treasure. What do I have with me right now, whether it's resources, my abilities, or my opportunity to take action on something that can benefit the community at large, that can build the relationships, that it can improve this environment that I'm in. That's really great. Time, talent, and treasure. So you got your hands on a lot of stuff. You're loving the real estate thing. It's been a joyful experience for me to see you just really take off, really own this new life, this new part of your career. And anytime I see anyone be successful, it just makes me happy. But whenever it's one of my brothers, somebody that I've known forever, and just seeing that in their lives, it just exponentially more for me. So what's the future look like for you? What's your next ridge line? What's the horizon line look like?
So my next goal, man, is so last year was my first year as an agent, real estate agent, and my focus was reps. Get as many reps as you can. Doesn't matter how big, doesn't matter how small. And I was able to close enough deals last year where this year, it was my first year as a principal agent, meaning I was my own agent. I wasn't part of a team. So my goal now is to build a real estate team. I've got my first team member join me last month, and to provide that gentleman with the level of mentorship, the level of guidance to be successful in real estate. And the best thing about it is he's another team guy, man. So, that
Cool.
instant rapport, right? That cultural fluency that we have, that get after it mentality, right? Failure's not an option. We're going to win no matter what. Dude, to have that in your team is incredible. But there's also a sense of humility that comes with that, because I've got a gentleman who's just joined my team, doesn't know anything about real estate. His mother was in real estate. He's learning, but he's open to learning, which is great, man. So that's my next ridgeline, man, is building a high quality team of high performing realtors.
That sounds like you're going to crush it for one. And it sounds like such a fulfilling enterprise to get into, because we don't have more land. Land is not really a renewable resource. It's a limited quantity. So whenever you're being able to tailor a high functioning team to helping people get the properties that they need that are going to help their family survive and thrive and just take them to the next level is really exciting. So we'll start wrapping this up pretty quickly here, but I want to give you a couple more questions to end it on, and then I'll give you the last word. What do you miss most about being a medic? And what is one thing that you're most grateful for to have now in your new career?
Gosh, man. As a medic, what do I miss most? I think I miss the impact that you make on people where they went through like a traumatic experience, and I somehow had something to do with their healing process, right? I had something to do with them getting better. And I think that's extremely impactful, man, because when you're able to treat a gunshot wound that somebody thinks they're not going to make it, but you instill in them through your experience, through your application of medicine, that kind of level of confidence where, hey, you are going to make it through this traumatic event and you're going to go out and do great things, man. And like I said, the Philippines was a huge, huge impact in my life. I got to save a lot of lives, but I also got to see people not make it, right? So I think that's the most impactful thing, man, is the fragility of human life, right? And the impact that you can make when you dedicate yourself to that craft and when you dedicate yourself to helping others. I think that's what I'm going to miss most about being a combat medic, man. I'm going to miss people yelling, medic, and being the guy that runs.
Yeah. Dude,
and what am I most grateful, man? Dude, I'm grateful for the time I have with my wife and kids. I'm grateful for the community that I've established here in Northeast Florida. Dude, I'm grateful for you just providing me with this great opportunity, man, because I love everything that you're doing, man. And when I see team guys' success, I always tell my guys, man, the guys in my FOB, dude, your success is our success, man. And I tell guys, what can I do to help you either in your personal life or in your business life, right? I can help you market your business, man. And so that's what I'm grateful for, man. I'm in a position now. I'm grateful for the autonomy that I have. I didn't have that in the SEAL teams, man. You were just busy day in and day out, man. And, there's no more excuses, bro. I've got time and I want to leverage that time wisely.
Fantastic. You touched on something. I can't help, but I got to circle back at it.
Yeah.
You talked about people dealing with some serious issues, some heavy issues. We talked about losing people. You were in the Philippines. You saved people's lives. You lost people's lives. And right now, we're kind of facing an epidemic, a veterans mental health crisis epidemic that's really just a mirror, a reflection of what our normal communities are facing, of these mental health issues, these invisible wounds, some things that are going on underneath the surface that are not, you can't see. You can't look at it and say, oh, his arm's broken, his clavicle's broken, like you were saying, his guts are hanging out. No, there's something going on under the surface that is very real, that is having a very negative effect on the person, and then that gets reflected out to society. You went through a period where you had an invisible wound yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely,
experience?
man. Yeah, man. I'd love to share that, man. As I stated, my time in the Philippines was an incredible experience, man. I got to save lives, but I also got to experience the loss of life. And one of the most traumatic injuries or one of the most traumatic experiences for me was not being able to save the life of a 14-month-old child shot in the head. Now, when you go through that process, I'm processing things fast. You don't know it's affected you, right? But you've got this 14-month-old child shot in the head. You're trying to do everything you can to save her. You know you don't have the resources. You're assessing. You're seeing her fontanelle bulging out. She's got increased intracranial pressure. She's bleeding internally. And you trying to call a medevac. And the area we were in at that point was very hostile, that they were like, we're not sending any helicopters to your location. So it was like, give her back to her mother. Tell the mother to take the child to like the tribal hospital. Child doesn't make it, right? So you leave with that feeling of like guilt. Man, what could I have done better? Was I properly trained to treat these pediatrics? Did I not do enough research? Did I not put myself in a better position? Or you start kind of questioning and doubting your capabilities, man. So I dealt with that that happened in 2013. I dealt with that on my own for the longest time. And there comes a time where you start dealing with all these invisible wounds, man, that if you don't talk about them, if you don't share your story, if you don't get the proper mental treatment, mental therapy to heal, it's going to eat you alive, right? So before I retired, man, I decided to go to a program called the Renew program. And it was a 5-week inpatient treatment at the Minneapolis VA hospital. And dude, I got psychotherapy, physical therapy. I went through art therapy, music therapy, recreational therapy. all the types of therapies you can possibly get. That treatment was tailored to my experience, what I was suffering through, right? And I got a chance to talk about my experience in combat. I got a chance to just be vulnerable, man. And it's okay to not be okay. And I think sometimes, there's that saying, suffer in silence. Well, no, man. Like I said, it's not okay to be okay. If you're going through something, say it, speak it. That's why nowadays, dude, when I reach out to my guys from the FOB, I'm like, how's it going, man? And they're like, dude, everything's going well. And then, we chat for a little bit. And then I tell them again, bro, how's it really going? How are things in your business life? How are things in your personal life? It's important to peel that onion back and really get to the root of why it is you're either feeling depressed, feeling insecure, whatever the case may be, man. Don't go at it alone. Get the proper treatment because like you said, man, I've seen too many of my mentors, they're not even here anymore, right? And I don't want to see that, man. That's the reason why I built this network of SEALs. And I've seen it within my community as well, within this network that I have. There's a guy that wasn't picking up the phone. I was like, dude, I'm going to your house. Stand by. I was like, I'm bringing food. I'm bringing some cigars too, in case you smoke, right? So it's about sharing your story, man, and being okay with being vulnerable, man. And when you're vulnerable, that other person can share as well and be vulnerable, and you guys can heal together, man. So that's kind of my piece of advice. That's kind of the invisible wound that I was dealing with. I was also dealing with a lot of physical pain. Obviously, you do 20 years in the Navy and the SEAL teams. There's a lot of wear and tear, man. There were times, dude, that I would just running errands and just sweating profusely because of the pain on my neck and the pain on my back. And I was just like, dude, how do I get rid of this pain? Like I'm eating Motrin like Skittles. Nothing's working. The last thing I want to do is get into opioids. There was a time, man, during that transition where things looked like they were going to fall apart, right? Not only are you going through these invisible wounds, but you're going through some physical pain that you're trying to manage all of that. But the goal is don't try to do it by yourself. Get the necessary treatment. Don't be afraid to ask for help, man.
Huge points, super great insights. Even from my own experience, it was like my body just shut down. My mind went on overdrive. I couldn't stop ruminating. I couldn't stop negative thoughts, intrusive thoughts. But the rest of my body was like bird bones. Everything that could go wrong with my body went wrong. I was breaking bones. I was dizzy. I would have like a lot of vertigo. I would fall. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here thinking, dude, I'm in my prime. I just had an amazing career. I had 7 deployments. We freaking hit home run after home run. All of these things should not be going on. All of this dysfunction should not be occurring within me. And looking at me, I seem healthy. To the outside observer, oh, you're a Navy SEAL. You're a SEAL chief. You have all these things going for you. But whenever that body breaks down, when that mind breaks down, yeah, we can be resilient to a point. But at some point, we're all going to hit that threshold. A big reason why we did what we did was so we could push our limits, so we could see how far this body could go, how many things we could achieve, how many lives we could impact. And then you get to that point where all of a sudden it's just not working for you. But people don't see it because it is something that is not visible. And I think a good parallel that we could make for this, I mean, luckily I did eventually get treatment. I did get help and they did kind of put my guts back in, right? I got vertigo so bad, I started throwing up. I gave myself a hernia. So here I have my guts hanging out and I can see them through underneath my skin. And I'm thinking about the guy I treated in Afghanistan that had his guts hanging out right around that spot, just like you with the guy in the Philippines. But you had a fairly common traumatic injury that occurred that you couldn't see, that built up in your chest, and all you felt was the pain, but you didn't know exactly what was going on. And I think this is an amazing parallel to what other people might be experiencing on, say, the mental health side and things like that. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit of that story.
Dude, absolutely, man. Talk about a huge setback for me, right? Yeah, when I was in SEAL Team 1, man, I was a new guy in SEAL Team 1, getting ready to go to unit level training, right? Getting unit level training is so we can get certified for deployment. And prior to that, we're doing pre-unit level training, right? We're just training to train, training to go to training. And we did an intense training during the week. Friday came along, early day, Frogman Friday. Saturday morning, man, I wake up to go run a 4-mile time run, right? Just wake up, do a 4-mile run. And I woke up that morning with tightness in my chest, difficulty breathing. And I'm thinking, okay, this is probably from the workout I did either Thursday or Friday. And I get up, I go do my run. I get about 1 mile in and I can't run anymore, man. My chest is just tight. It's painful. And I walk back home. I tell my wife I've got some issues with my chest. My wife is immediately like, hey, let's go get it checked out. I'm like, no, it's probably I'm just sore. That's it, man. This happened early in the morning. I extend the time all the way down to when it gets to 5 p.m., bro. By 5 p.m., I'm in the tripod position trying to breathe. And finally, I'm like, babe, we got to go to the ER. And so she takes me to Balboa Hospital. And if you want to skip the line at the hospital, just tell them you have difficulty breathing. You'll be the first one there. So I get to Balboa Hospital and I tell them, hey, I've got issues with my chest. I can't breathe very well. And they immediately do a chest x-ray. And what they see is my left lung was completely collapsed, man. It was completely shriveled up. Then they do a chest CT scan. And what they tell me is, hey, you have blebs in both of your lungs. Blebs are blisters in your lungs. And I'm just like, holy crap, I don't know what any of this is, man. And they're like, and I'm just like, I just want to breathe right now. So when you're in Balboa Hospital, man, Balboa Hospital is full of a lot of interns. So everybody's excited in Balboa, man. They're like, holy crap, we got a guy with a spontaneous pneumothorax. And I've got all these interns lined up. They want to be the one to do a needle decompression on my chest, right? And the needle decompression, what that does, it relieves the pressure. You stick a needle into my chest, you leave the catheter in there, and it relieves the pressure, the air that's trapped in my chest. It relieves it so I'm able to breathe, right? So they do what's called a pneumodart. Instead of doing it here on my chest, they do it on my side. So one of the interns sticks it. I'm able to breathe a little bit, but again, that pressure builds up again. They got to stick another one. And then the doc comes in, man, and he tells me that you've got blebs in your lungs. We got to go in there. We got to cut all those blebs out. And all those blebs are currently in the apex of your lungs. So they're all on the top. So we got to snip the tip, both of your lungs, all the top. So I got short lungs now. And then we have to do a procedure called pleurodesis. Now, pleurodesis is when they adhere your lungs to your pleural cavity. So to your chest wall, pretty much. And it's a painful procedure because they got to go in there and they got to scrape the inside of your wall to create inflammation. And then they add this kind of chemical in there to adhere your lungs to your chest. So I go through that entire procedure, man. And I wake up from that procedure. I've got 4 chest tubes, 2 chest tubes on each side. Wow. And talk about pain, man. It was so painful. They had me on this opioid machine, and all I had to do was just press the button to get a dose of opioid into my system, man. I remember waking up being in so much pain. I was just like, just tapping away, and it limited my dose to a certain amount. But I would just click until I passed out every time, man. I would wake up, pain, just click all the way away until I wanted to be numb. It felt like I was burning from the inside out. So I went through that process, man. This was in SEAL Team 1. I was a new guy when this happened. So, dude, talk about not only are you a useless new guy, now you're an injured, useless new guy. So it was a process, man, where it's like, how am I going to get back from this? Am I going to even be able to survive this? Is the Navy going to even accept me to stay in the SEAL teams? So I had to fight that entire process. And eventually, right, I healed up. They did the pleurodesis procedure. My lungs are now attached to my chest wall. And now I got to go through the whole medical process of whether the Navy is going to allow me to stay in. So I had to submit a package, had to submit a waiver. And I just remember being worried, man, because I thought my career was over. I remember the support from the SEAL team leadership that they were going to do everything they could. They were going to fight for me to stay in the Navy. And they did exactly that, man. They helped me with my package. We submitted our package to BUMED. They were the ones that were going to approve whether I was going to stay in the Navy or not. And luckily, I got approved to stay. But that was just the beginning, man. That approval was just the beginning of a long recovery process, because by the end of that surgery, I wasn't in great shape, man. I was still young, but I wasn't in the shape that I was when I was in BUDS or SQT. So I had to get back in shape, and I had to, now I've got these short lungs. I got to be able to leverage these lungs. And it was a process, man, to get back into shape. But luckily, I got into good shape, man, and I got a chance to deploy. I healed up just in time to deploy with SEAL Team 1, and we went to Iraq, did direct action operations. So that was one of the biggest things for me, is I don't want to miss this deployment. I don't want this injury to hinder my ability to go to war and take the fight to our enemies. And luckily, dude, God was with me, and I was able to pull through and make it to that deployment.
Dude, so awesome. Pushing through, having that invisible injury, that pressure that's built up that just needed to be released by the right therapies, by the right professionals, and you made it happen. And then you went on, you served a full career, because that was your new guy thing. You did that deployment in Iraq, doing DAs, taking the fight to the enemies, keeping the fight away from our streets, away from our homeland, overseas. And you performed at the pinnacle, did a full career, and now you're moving on to a ton of also amazing, great things, and you're continuing that legacy. It is so great to see. It's been awesome catching up with you and just hearing your story, reliving it from your point of view. Because I remember you're like, man, all I did was put up a TV today, and then all of a sudden I couldn't breathe,
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that was
yeah.
And so I remember those were our conversations back then, and now I'm hearing like the more in depth of like all of that went through, and then being able to follow on, go through all that BUMED paperwork and getting approved to carry on. So again, super grateful to have you on here. I'm going to send it over to you for any last words you might have, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, man. I'm just super grateful, man. And I would say I want to end with this, man, because I know there's a lot of teen guys going through this transition, separating or retiring from the Navy. And even if you're not in the military, but you're going through some type of transition, right? You're doing a career shift. My encouragement to people is this: go all in on that thing that you want to do, whatever that goal is, commit to it without a backup plan, right? The Bible says this, man: the double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So when you and I showed up to BUDS, we had already made a decision, man. Failure was not an option, right? There were no safety nets, no plan B. It was either this or nothing at all, right? That same level of commitment applies to anything meaningful in your life, whether it's a new career, your relationship, your faith. Dude, you gotta go all in, man. So whatever that is, whatever decision you make, and you truly decide, that becomes your next mission, right? That's when life starts to actually move. So if you want to change your life, dude, burn all the boats. There is no backup. Commit to that thing that you want to do and just go all in, man, and embrace the process.
That's awesome. I love it. Go all in, embrace the process. Thank you so much, Aaron. It's been so awesome having you on the show, and I'm excited to see all of the great things that you continue to do there in Florida and beyond.
Brett, thank you so much, my man. Always a pleasure.
All right. Go ahead and grab a glass, and let's reflect with this Debrief Cocktails. I have myself a little whiskey here. So we just absolutely had a masterclass on building a life with purpose and prosperity from my brother Aaron Peña. And just like these well-crafted cocktails, his story was a perfect blend of bold strategy and smooth, heartfelt wisdom. Let's distill a few of those key lessons from that conversation and come up with a clear action path that we can enact this week. He just gave us a powerful blueprint for success, not just in real estate, but also in family, career, and life. Here are 3 takeaways that we can take into our mission starting today. 1, turn your expenses into an asset. Aaron's journey in real estate started with the simple but profound realization. He was getting paid to live somewhere with his BAH. So why pay a landlord when he could pay himself? He turned his single biggest expense into his single biggest investment, and that translated into a powerful follow-on career. All that experience he got to leverage and move forward. Our mission: stop paying rent. Spend 30 minutes this week and research how to own where you live. If you're a veteran, Google VA loan for multifamily properties. If not, check out Google for first-time home buyer programs. Google, Yahoo, whatever, first-time home buyer programs in your state. The mission is not to buy a house tomorrow. It's to take the first crucial step from being a renter to becoming an owner. 2, make your family your most important team. After a career where the mission dictated his life, Aaron made a very deliberate pivot. The most powerful moment was when he asked his wife where she wanted to live, making his family's happiness the new mission objective. He chose to lead his family like he would an elite team, with collaboration and a shared goal. Our mission this week: hold a team meeting with your family or your spouse, people important in your life, your critical relationships, and ask one simple question: what does a win look like for us? Then listen more than you talk. Your most important mission is the one you build at home. And 3, burn the boats. Aaron's final piece of advice was pure fire. The double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. When you decide on your next mission, a new career, a relationship, your faith, you have to go all in. No backup plan, no safety nets, just pure unbridled commitment to the new mission and the new cause. Our mission: identify one goal where we've been hesitant, where we might have been double-minded, where we might have one foot in, one foot out. And this week, we're going to burn the boats. We're going to make a firm decision to commit 100% and take one decisive action that proves there is no turning back. Go all in. Thank you for being with us for another episode. We want to hear from you. Which one of these missions are you taking on this week? Are you building assets? Are you going all in on leading your team and your family? Or are you burning the boats? Maybe you're doing all 3. Go to our social channels, drop a comment, let us know where you're at, what you're doing. If you're ready to build a life of purpose and freedom and these stories are lighting a fire in you, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring these conversations to more people who need to hear them. Thank you again for all of your support, and have a great week, y'all.